This week's all-new episode of Life Happens with Barb and Michelle is one that left us feeling inspired, full-hearted, and honestly, changed for the better. We sat down with our dear friend Tyler Merritt, actor, comedian, activist, and best-selling author of I Take My Coffee Black and This Changes Everything. You might know Tyler from his powerful viral video Before You Call the Cops, or from his roles on Netflix, HBO, and Apple TV. But today, you'll meet Tyler, the storyteller, the soul-deep thinker, and the man who's lived through pain, joy, illness, and healing, and who brings it all to the mic with raw honesty and humor. We talk about the courage it takes to show up with your full heart, the power of storytelling to build empathy, what cancer taught him about being truly present, and why helping others is the real measure of success. Tyler reminds us how much beauty exists in being human, and how to keep choosing love even when life gets hard. Hi, everyone. We are so excited for this week's conversation of the show. If you're watching, you're in for a special treat. I mean, if you're listening as well, you're in for a special treat too. But it's so great to be able to see and chat with our dear friend, Tyler Merritt. Welcome to Life Happens.
You know what? Let me tell you all. There are few people in the world I love as much as I love the two of you.
No.
But see, the thing is Barb and I have had a chance to hang out face to face.
Yeah, I'm jealous about that.
Early on when we were first getting to know each other, you came into Nashville and I just remember hugging you thinking like, I think I made a friend for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And then she introduced me to you, Michelle, and I have fallen in love with you in the best of ways. So
the feeling is mutual. I am jealous that we haven't had a chance to be together in person, but it's funny, right before we jumped on this Zoom or recording, my mom was like, yeah, Michelle, I went to Nashville and I messaged Tyler and he said, where are you? I'm going to pick you up and we're going to have some fun. And I was like, the FOMO was real with that because I know you guys had the best time. And she said the same thing. She says, I feel like I've known him my whole life. I feel like he's the closest friend I've always had my whole life. And yeah, since then I've loved getting to chat with you. And of course, reading your books and your newest book, This Changes Everything. And of course, being able to connect on social media as well.
yeah, your social media presence is fantastic. I love you guys so much. We could do this for an hour. We could just have a love fest.
Yeah.
We are a mutual
Yeah,
love
this
fest.
episode is really just selfish on our end, just to be able to hang out with you. So sorry, everyone.
Yeah, there you go.
I couldn't agree more. Tyler, you are one of the dearest, most beautiful, loving, caring, present. I talk about you all the time, to Michelle especially, but to so many people. I don't think, and I told Michelle, I hope I don't cry during this episode because I just love you and I love your work so much, but you are the most present person I've ever been with. When you picked me up in your little Corvette, it was so amazing. And we went to that cute little place for lunch. We did. We were just, nothing else mattered in the world. Nothing else was happening in the outside world. We were just so present with each other. And it's an experience that I will never forget. And we are definitely friends for life. And I feel like maybe been friends in a past life, but I'm excited to talk about this and all the things you're doing now. I follow you on social media. You all have to follow Tyler Merritt. It is incredible to keep up with you with all of the amazing work that you are doing to help people live their best life and to manage all of the chaos and stress and anxiety that we're all feeling today. So I'm just honored to be here with you today.
Look at us. We just love each other.
We are very grateful because you have been so busy lately. So we're thrilled that we could get on your schedule because you've been on book tours and doing so many fun things. So we're so excited to hear about what's up with you and what you're working on and all of the great things that you're creating for us, especially during these times that feel heavy and dark. I know for sure, for me at least, whenever I see your name pop up on my social media and see your content online, it gives me a smile, especially when I feel like I need it most.
Well, I appreciate that. And you all understand. If anybody understands this, it's you all. By the way that people have discovered you through social media, is every word on social media matters. And I don't think people people who use social media casually don't always understand that literally one or two words in a sentence can take a comment on social media from just being something that you put on to encourage people to something that people want to combat or fight against. You know, just one or two words on how you say something, or if you misaddress someone, or if you forget somebody. So the energy that it takes to put out into the world something that looks so simple to viewers, there really is a heart behind it. And it's something what I love about what you all do with your work. You understand the nuance of social media presence.
That's such a great point, because it is so true. And especially when you are trying to do things that are helpful for people, or trying to put out content that uplifts people. And I can attest, you know, my mom is my mom. I've known her my whole life, but I've been working with her for over a decade now. And, you know, to your point, Tyler, I don't think people really realize when you have intention and you care about the messaging that you put out, especially on social media, especially when you have a platform that reaches people, a lot of time goes into thinking about the wording, the tone. Should I use this word over this word? And I watch my mom a lot sit and type away about a caption, or, you know, is this quote going to resonate right now, or is it going to ruffle some feathers in a way that's going to harm someone? And it's a lot of work. She often says all the time, and Mom, I won't speak for you, but you work harder now than you did when you were a McDonald's franchisee and running multiple organizations. Like, it's work, and you care.
Yeah, I think when you put your passion together with your in oh my gosh, my deepest desire for people and for life and for my own life, and you put that together with your passion, you put that together with your hard work, it, like you said, Tyler, it really matters. It matters so much, because my whole deepest desire is to help people. That's it. I just want to help people navigate life. I want to help people. And I think too, in the message that you were saying, Tyler, is that that's why I feel such a kindred spirit with the work that you do, is that it is authentic, and it is exactly coming from your experiences. You're always talking about what you've experienced in your book. I mean, this is everything. This is everything, and this changes everything. It's all your experiences and how you are navigating your life yourself and how you can help people. So I feel like the authenticity and doing it yourself, like, we don't have people doing our social media. We do our social media. We are the message and the words and the experiences. So I really think that matters. And I think it comes across in your work, comes across in this book extraordinarily. And even in your first book that just hooked me so much. And I think it's why not only your social media that I called you from Nashville and said, I got to meet you.
I remember I was like, Mom, is that going to be weird? You're just reaching out to him. And I loved it.
I'll tell you what I love about long form stories is, and being an author.
And you're a
especially
storyteller.
Yeah, right. That's what I do. That's my, above all the things outside of playing music, acting, all of the things, what it comes down to is I'm just a storyteller who likes to build things. And it is not a surprise to me at all, after reading 300 pages of something that I write, that somebody closes the book and goes, well, I guess Tyler and I are friends now, you know, without thinking about if we actually are, or even if I know that person at all. I write in such a way where I give you way more information about me than I probably even should, but I'm making a bet on proximity, that if I lay myself before you as honest and as transparent as I can as a 6'2" black man, that hopefully we will be able, that bet will pay off, and that you will lean into what I'm expressing to you. We can laugh together, we can cry together, we can hurt together, we can empathize together, we can love together. And it's so fair that when someone either closes my book or ends my audiobook, they're like, well, I guess I know Tyler now. The amount of people that walk by me when I'm walking down the street and they're just like, yo, bro, how's your mom? And I'm like, do you actually know my mom, or do you know my mom? You know?
I love that you said that, because you are a storyteller, and such a powerful storyteller. And vulnerability and sharing about your personal experiences is a bridge in storytelling, so that people can feel like they're connected to you. But it also can open you up to sometimes being misunderstood, or, you never know. The world is a little wonky at times. So how do you manage, or how do you have that bravery to, like you said, sometimes you feel like maybe you give more than you need to, or than you necessarily should. And having a platform, how do you manage that and have the bravery to say, I'm not going to let whatever fear may come keep me from telling stories?
So I really believe this, Michelle, that the real and honest, true story that all of us can tell, the only real, true, honest story that we can tell is that which is our own, right? And when you begin to tell your own story, when you begin to really talk about what only you know, the truth is you don't know if it's going to kind of ricochet out in the world, or if it's going to cause drama, or if it's going to make people upset. You don't know. So how I feel is it's all a little bit of a risk. Anytime that we decide to go, here's an audience that we have, and now we're going to put our heart out on the line. There are times where I have put something on social media that I thought was, because it's just from my heart, I'm thinking it's brilliant, easy, simple. Everybody's going to agree. There shouldn't be a problem. It's just something I experience in this moment. I want to share it with the world. And it ends up being the thing that forces me to have to turn my comments off. You know what
I've seen that happen for you. And you're always, but you listen to people, and you communicate when people give you that feedback. I've seen you do that so masterfully.
And I used to think before I Take My Coffee Black came out, I used to think that I was Nutella and could just make everybody happy, and that I could just, put something out there and I can fix it all. As I've gotten older, I've realized your truth is not going to echo or set well with everybody, but that doesn't mean that we are at that point then not told to tell it or to express it. And I think the way that we communicate matters. The way that we put our heart into the world is wildly different when delivered from a place of empathy, consideration, and kind of adoration for the audience that you're speaking to,
It's so true.
Oh, that's so beautifully said.
I love that. And I think that's why people resonate with the stories and find that connection and feel like they know you even if they've never met you, because that's how you show up. And I know I too have been with my mom where we'll be walking down the street and they're like, "Peaceful Barb." And, people sometimes will be like, "You're my internet mom." And I'm like, you are that internet mom for so many people. So it's really nice to see that impact. And, the world is a little weird sometimes. So that where you're like, wait, do I know you? You have to have a guard up sometimes, but it's nice to see that positive impact for sure.
The other thing, Michelle, somebody asked me recently, they were like, "Tyler, what does success feel like for you?" Like, like being on tour now, I'll go to Portland and pals who maybe the bookstore specifically hasn't heard of me, but when a ton of people show up, they're like, "We didn't know you were rolling in Portland like this." And I was like, I didn't really know either, right? And so people begin to ask me like, what does success feel like to you? And the reason why I'm even bringing this up is because it has to do with you, Barb, and kind of how we walk in the world. My answer has become simple, and I don't love it, but it's truth. People are like, what does success feel like to you? And I tell them it feels like work. I was like, it feels like work. I'm working all the time, but I chose something that I love to do. But when your success feels like work, the success part doesn't always catch up with you because you're just doing the thing that you would naturally do, right? Like you're thinking about, what is the next thing that I can talk about in a world that feels like it's burning, right? Or what is the next word of encouragement that I can give? And all that stuff that you're doing, that you're putting out in the world is causing more success, but you're just doing it because it's the work that you're called to, right? So that success ends up feeling like just the work that you're doing. And then how that ends up kind of filling out in the world is that when people consider you a rock star or famous, or anytime someone calls me a celebrity, I'm just like, this sounds so ridiculous. And it also sounds so like something that somebody who has quote unquote fans would say, but we're just normal people trying to do that singular thing that we think is going to have an impact and a legacy on a world that needs it so badly. And we just happen to be in a time period where that heart can turn into things that make people want you to be their mother. You know what I mean? That make people want to be your best friend. And I'm finding that the currency of hope and empathy and love that we give to the world pays us back in full. People want that. They want to follow that and they want to be around it.
Yeah. And I think too, Tyler, that's so beautifully said. For me, when I think about success today, now I'm so much older than the two of you. So I'm like I'm in my twilight time of really spending the
Okay.
next, no, I mean this seriously, in the next, 10, 20
know.
years, whatever I have left. And so for me, yeah, you're right. When people come up and say that, that is success to me, because my whole desire and mission in life is to just help people. So when someone comes up to me and says that quote that you just did of Maya Angelou, every storm runs out of rain. Every storm runs out of rain. Yeah, I said that. It's one of my favorite quotes. I just really like melt inside. I'm like, wow, that is what my whole purpose and point on this mission of the work that I'm doing is. And I think I have really had the deepest desigor not to have any attachment to whatever the outcomes would be. So you're right, like social media can be really wild at times, and life is, beyond chaotic. So I really try not to be attached to anything of what I want it to be, and be so passionate about what is my intention for doing what it is I'm doing in the first place, which is how I feel like you are. That when we sat there in that restaurant, it's like our whole point is to just help. Like, and so success will be helping, and then with the more that we're able to help and the things that we can do. And I think then the rest of the outcomes will kind of meet us where we are. Oh, this is the next step I'm supposed to take. Oh, this is what we're supposed to do next. Even like rebranding this podcast, Michelle was passionate about, it's got to be Barb Knows Best, because she goes, Mom, you're my mom, and I think you know best. And I was kind of like, oh, I don't know about that title. And as we kept going with it, it kind of unflowed until life happened. So I love that. And that's why I love about your Take My Coffee Black. And now this changes everything. And you little by little have shared so much of yourself, not only on social media, but in your book. But I think the personal things that you have shared in this memoir, and why I'm so crying about this book, is you share the deep personal things that bring you to tears. And then all of a sudden you share something humorous. And my favorite one, I've been studying with a lot of teachers my whole life, but the Buddha was one of those kind of people. The Dalai Lama, they're so deep and they're so strong. And I've been on retreats with him, the Dalai Lama, and he'll share something so deep and powerful, and it'll bring us to our edge of our seats. And then he'll sit back and laugh. And I kind of hate to say this, but I feel like your writings and stuff mirrors that for me. It's like you give us the heavy dose. No, I said I was going to cry. You give us the heavy dose of truth, and the things that we need to open our hearts are the things that we need to really be, because you can feel it in you, that love and caring and compassion, and that we all just become like friends and family, and that whole deep part of being one with each other. And then you'll share your journey with your illness, which was powerful. And then you say something funny. And I'm like,
let me
wow,
say,
this is so cool.
I love that you keep bringing us back to the book so that we're just not hanging out for an hour.
Like, this is my whole point. When I said to Michelle, when we both read it, I said, this changes everything. And it really, really does. And I want people to see that and read this and know it. So yes, I want to talk about the book.
And thank you for blurbing it for me too.
Oh, she was so excited. I have to interject, and I'm not throwing her under the bus, because I would say this at any time.
Oh, it's fine.
But
you can say anything.
my mom tends to be a perfectionist. but in a way because she cares so much. So it's very sweet. But when you asked her to blurb the book, it meant so much to her and she was so excited that she kind of spiraled into this perfectionist, like, this has to be perfect for Tyler. This is such a meaningful ask. And we were like sitting at this table next to each other and I was helping her because it meant so much to her. It was just like, you would have thought she was writing her own book.
I wanted you to edit it. Yeah.
She's like, make sure this is right. Like, so, yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, it meant the world to me because I'm over here just going, I hope you like it. Like, and you know, after you write a book like I Take My Coffee Black, which I think in music, right? Like bands usually have their first album. When you think about, I'm going to date myself a little bit, but some of my favorite bands are like Oasis with their album, What's the Story, Morning Glory.
Classic.
Hootie and the Blowfish, Cracked Rear View, Alanis Morissette, Jagged Little Pill. All that's in my book.
No.
Like, but their first album, they have their whole life to write, right? And then the second album comes along and you're like, okay, you wrote it in a certain amount of time. And so I remember when I wrote This Changes Everything thinking, I don't know if I'll ever write anything as good as I Take My Coffee Black. Then I was in the middle of This Changes Everything, writing it going, I feel like this is so good. And not in like a cocky way, but just in a way of like being like, I found my voice so very specifically. I'm finding my voice as a writer. I think I've figured out how I want to communicate to the world, which pushed it up there with I Take My Coffee Black. So when I sent it off to you, Barb, somebody who I knew enjoyed I Take My Coffee Black, I just remember thinking, God, I hope you like it. So when you sent back your blurb, it was fantastic. And let me just say, as far as the laughing part, something that I think writers do, and I don't always think writers know how to put this into words, because oftentimes writers can put things on paper so well, but they can't communicate them out loud as well. I happen to be a weird hybrid of people that like to communicate but also like to write. I think writers have the ability, and it is our job, to find the words that people who are out in the world just either can't take the time or don't have the ability to actually put their thoughts, emotions, and feelings onto the page or out into the world. So you have people walking around going, I don't know how to put this into words, or I know what I want to say, but I don't exactly know how to say it. I think that's when writers come in. That's when authors come in, where artists come in. And how I operate in the funny is, how many times have we in our own personal lives been in the middle of something and say it might be one of the hardest moments, or you drop a jar of jelly onto the ground and you know that it's crappy because you bought that jelly and you know that you wanted it for your sandwich, but then maybe your dog comes along and like licks it up thinking it's the best thing in the world, and suddenly that crappy scenario has turned into joy and humor, right? And you don't realize in that moment, you don't realize what I'm doing is I'm taking something that really, I can't believe I dropped this, but now I'm processing it into joy because I'm getting to watch my stupid dog think that this is his lunch, right? And you have a moment of turning weird into funny, but you don't know how to communicate that. So what I do in my books is I have just kind of figured out a way to take that moment and communicate it, but on a broader thing. For example, I'm going to give an example, and please, if I don't know what the rating on this podcast is, but hear me. You know that there is a section in This Changes Everything where I have a nurse who has to probe my private parts, essentially, you know? And even though it was easily and arguably the worst possible thing that was happening to me in the world ever, the fact that this country white lady was saying to me, she said these words, she was like, you just got a tiny pee hole with just this, with such this thick accent. I just was listening to her going, baby girl, you are so funny to me right now. And this is so horrible, but you better know. And I told her right then, I was like, if I write another book, this moment will be in it. And it was. because I was able to, in the midst of it, I've figured out a way how to communicate the hard with the humorous. And it's something that we do every single day to survive, but not everybody knows how to communicate it.
That's so true.
I love that you added that story in the book. And here's what comes to me when I was reading your book, and what I always think about when people can do exactly what you said, the really hard and the really painful with the humorous, is that one of my mottos in life is that I want to take the life that I'm living seriously, but I don't want to take myself so seriously that I can't do exactly. And I think your book just really echoed that to me huge, that you're able to do that very brilliantly. I'm going to share a really deep moment with you, and then all of a sudden you're in this really depth of the story that you're sharing, and then all of a sudden, yeah, it's kind of like there's a lighthearted moment there. It's like, oh, and it's so brilliant because it's so you don't expect it. And I think that was part of my blurb. I think it was so profound and yet so unexpectedly humorous, which is exactly, I think, what we need as humans. If we can blend those two together, I think we can feel ourselves as we're reading your book and as we listen to you, we can feel ourselves that being perfect. That's why this book, I am a recovering perfectionist, but also that, wow, if he can do it, I can do it. If he can withstand that little comment from her and going through that whole procedure and then come out hilarious about your dog, I could do the same.
Yeah, yeah. I love that. And I'll tell you, sorry, Michelle, I just wanted to say, I think there's this other piece as well. Humor is being able to tell jokes, comedy is a gift.
Yes.
Some people are just naturally good at it. But some of my favorite comedians, like Mike Birbiglia, like Chris Rock, there are a handful of people where they study it. It's just not accidentally funny. It is a tool that they use that when they go on stage, it is crafted, right? And
yeah, it's an art.
It's an art. And so in my books, I try to make funny things really funny. Like, I don't want them to just kind of be like, was that kind of funny? Like, I'll tell a joke in a book and I want to make sure somebody's going to laugh out loud with it. And that's why also on my audiobooks as well, I love when people tell me, they're like, you get me in so much trouble because I'll be in bed with my husband late at night. I'll be listening to you on my headphones and I will just be laughing out loud, or then I'll start crying. And then I'm thinking the art is working, right? The tools are working. And I think what we need to understand as artists, as creators, as people that love to give our gifts to the world, that we need to sharpen our tools. We need to work hard to be good at this thing that we claim to do, because we owe it to each other. If we can be better to each other, why not be?
And I think this goes for both of you. I think of this when I think of you both. With the concept of present. And I know, Mom, you said this at the start of the conversation, and being present, and how you both are so well practiced in being present. But I think when you think about the stories that you share, Tyler, in your book, and of course, I know you, Mom, living life, there's really hard and difficult moments. But when you're so present to it, you're able to see like that small opening of the humor that can come through in a situation like that with a nurse, or, that story that you told about dropping the jelly, like that happens all the time to us. And it is so funny when, the dog comes running and licks it up. But I think being able to laugh about it and have that humor comes from the presence. So can you talk about what it means like to be so present to your life, even when life is hard? I mean, you have, a cancer diagnosis, you have challenges in your life, but that presence that you bring to your life, and then of course to your work and to your art, opens the door to humor and the levity.
So this is where it's going to be hard for me not to get emotional. I really believe this. Life is so beautiful, right? And we are so lucky to be able to live. And I could put the period there, to live. But to live a life where every morning we get to wake up and experience other people that have gone through struggles, trials, maybe are naive to the world, maybe are past being naive to the world, or maybe even harsh to the world, but we get to be around them. But then we're left with the responsibility of what is our role going to be in the midst of this beautiful life we have. Now, for me, when something like cancer comes along, that literally makes you begin to wonder, how much time do I have left on this world? How many tomorrows do I have? I say this to people all the time. Even though we've all been touched by cancer, all of us now statistically know somebody who's had cancer or have been, statistically that's the case. But there's still few of us that have walked into a door that we've never seen before, sit into a room, have somebody come in and tell us that I have cancer. And that grouping of people are a club that I can't express words on this podcast what that feels like, but I know that I can look across somebody else who has had that, and we can almost say it without any word. Like, we just know, like, you've been there too. Like, we don't know how we're going to react. We don't know what we're going to do. We don't know if you're going to start counting down time. You don't know if you start thinking about the end or whatever you do. But this is what I do know. For me personally, it made me breathe the air with a little bit more respect. It made me see my niece and my nephews, which I have a ton. Even though I'm an only child, I've adopted, family. You know how you do that.
Of course.
But I see these young people, and it's them that bring me to tears, because I think about the stories I learned when I was their age. The first time my heart was ever broken. And when I think about all of those things that really in my life end up becoming this beautiful, beautiful picture, I just get so excited that I still get to live amongst those people that are experiencing those things and get to experience them, that I get to be a part of them, Michelle. Like when I leave my house today, anybody that I get in contact with, it's a gift for me. So I don't care if you are the person who is at the grocery store who is bagging my things for me. Though to you, it's just simply bagging something. You are bagging my sustenance, right? And it is important for me to see you, because you are going to go home and live a life of the story that you're going to tell. And just for today, in that brief moment, I was able to be a part of it. And what a gift is that to the world, right? It's those kind of things that make me want to come home and communicate to the internet, in hopes that the simple joy that person across the counter brought to me, I can bring to somebody else. And so I know that's a really, really long way to answer a very simple question.
No, it's beautiful.
There's such a beauty in this life. And so casually, people will say to me, "Hey, Tyler, hey, how you doing today?" And I will respond, "I'm still here." And their response will be like, "We all are." And I'm like, "Nope, I don't think you understand. When I say I'm still here, that means I'm still breathing, bro. And I can be here with you." Anyways, I can talk about that all day long.
That's powerful.
Really powerful, Tyler. And I feel that that's your message, to the world. It's the message that you're living your life by, but it's your message. And it's really why if someone comes up to me at the airport and says, "You're my internet mom," wants to talk for a few minutes and tell me things that I've said or done, it means everything. It's exactly what you're saying. And I don't think that's why we really are front and center present with people that are with us, no matter who they are. Somebody writes a comment, I answer back. So it's that same presence. You have that same presence, and you have to really experience it, which is what you're talking about. I remember sharing Michelle's dad went to sleep at 59 years old. She's talked about it a lot in her grief, and didn't wake up the next morning. It changed my whole work and my whole life. And when I say, the way you begin the day sets the tone for the whole day, and, being grateful for the presence of a new day, it's how I've done my whole life since being in recovery from bulimia. So when that happened, same thing, it changed my life. I thought, you have no idea what it means to know someone passionately and so close that didn't have the opportunity to wake up tomorrow morning thinking that they had a whole list of things to do the next morning. And so I love that you share that, because I think it's powerful enough to help transform other people's feelings about this new day and this gift of the person bagging your groceries.
Let me
That's,
ask
you're
you
so
all.
real. You're so real.
I appreciate that. Let me ask you all. This is a question for both of you. Same question.
Love it.
One of these days when we are gone, which we will be because that's life. Life happens. What is it that you hope people will either remember or say about you? Now, I know that that's it can almost seem like a doom and gloom question, but it's not really. What have you ever thought of? And if you haven't, sorry to put you on the spot, but off the top of your head, even what would you like that to be?
Yeah, I have thought about it actually. I think, I got divorced from a 33-year marriage a couple years ago, and I think being almost 70 next year, I've thought about, wow, now what? And if I didn't have my practice and all the work, I would be like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. So I think the thing that always comes to me, and being the perfectionist, I'm thinking, what do I really want to have on that tombstone or whatever it is? The thing that always comes to me is, and I will cry, I hope not, but is that she cared so deeply that she just wanted to help. I feel like the biggest driving force in me is I truly just want to help. I want to just help. I want to help people, or I just want to help in any way that I can be called to do, and whatever that looks like, whoever that is for, because I'm such a firm believer in all humanity, and I just want to see us all getting along as one, beautiful group of humanitarians and humanity. So she just cared so deeply that she wanted to help.
I think she was a helper when it comes to peaceful Barb is so easy to apply. Um, Even just on a surface level, I don't think you even need to know you that well to know that she was a helper. She cared so much that she wanted to help. God, that's good. But also, you're living that, and it's beautiful. Whether you and I feel like maybe
Thank
it's
you.
whether you want to or not. It's just part of it pours out of you. You know.
It is who I am. It is who I am. I was raised on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood and all those things. I mean, I was raised. My whole story. We really need to go on tour together.
Right. Right.
Honestly, I've thought about this. This will be another conversation someday. But yeah, I feel like the way I was raised and the things that mattered most to me, and why I am such a huge wanting humanity, like all of humanity to come together, and like all people coming together. It's a very interesting story how I got to this place, but it is exactly who I am. And really the liberation of being divorced after 33 years is even empowered me more. And I don't think it has a lot to do with my age. I used to say to Michelle, I can be a very speeded up person. And I think that's why mindfulness and practice is so important to me. And I remember saying to her once, she goes, Mom, you're a bridge demon. You're so time. And I said, I don't know where I got that from. And it hit me, Michelle, and I don't think I've shared this with you. I remember one day in one of my meditations, I thought, wait, Barb, you don't need to go in a hurry because you're running out of time. You need to be more present and really be more thoughtful, and just really slow down more, so that you can savor every single moment of the time of what you've learned and what you practice. So it's it's a very profound time for me. And so, yeah, I know that that's who I am. And I think having the privilege, as you said, massive privilege. And really, that's a huge part of my work. How can I use my privilege
I
to
love it.
do more? Yeah. So how about you,
Michelle?
Tyler?
Oh,
Oh, Michelle.
and we
No,
got
no, no.
Michelle's answer. Just
Yeah,
want to
you're
skip
right.
off your daughter.
I don't want to skip Michelle.
Yeah, I can corroborate what she says just before I talk about my piece, because, a lot of people don't know this about her, but, the work that she does with Peaceful Mind, Peaceful Life, and even my whole life before we started working together, she would teach meditation and mindfulness workshops at our local university for free. this is what I want to do for my life. This is my life purpose. I don't need to be paid. And, there was the privilege of having worked your life so that it wasn't, out of need or necessity. But we recently had a conversation, because we're in a new chapter of work and what's next, and going back to your, conversation about success and the next thing. You said, Mom, which it is really profound when you say this, you touch people on your platform and you give these messages and you do read them and engage with people. And you said, if something were to happen to me, or if my life were to end tomorrow, or if, I had to stop working tomorrow, I would be fulfilled, because what I've been doing my whole time up until now is exactly what I've wanted to do. And it will have been enough. It's the reaching people and impacting people. And that was the desire. And you are a helper whenever people reach out to you, even in real life, about needing X, Y, or Z. You're always one to say yes. So I don't think you have to do anything else to achieve that she was a helper story, for sure. It's true.
Tyler, I knew you'd make me cry. You're yeah, thank you. Thank you both. So
I think for me, I really resonate with what both of you said about, having impact and being helpers, but also having humor. So I think, being the kind of person that can make other people feel safe or seen or heard or meaningful in whatever way that can, or in whatever location or in whatever medium that is, so that another person can feel, that they matter in life. And, I remember when I first started working with my mom and I was going through a workshop, and the person that was facilitating the workshop was like asking me about my purpose statement for this project that I was working on. And I said something like, I want to alleviate the suffering of others. And I think about that now because, she kind of not laughed, because she respected the answer, but it was such a grand answer. And I think about that now where I'm like, that's a really bold statement. And I was in my 20s, so I was a little more naive back then. But I think I realize now that it's, I can't have that kind of impact in the way that I think that I can do that for everyone. But I think that through line for me is just, if there's something that I can do to alleviate someone else's suffering, whether it be through humor or through writing or through something on social media, or anything, that I think is my MO.
I love that. I absolutely love that. I know we're talking about me, but
yes, we are.
How proud are you, Barb, of watching Michelle, knowing all the things that she's gone through? I'm being serious. I'm being serious.
I know, but now you're gonna make me cry.
This isn't a setup or anything, but how proud are you knowing that Michelle is living out this particular story and she's choosing to have this kind of impact on the world? How does that make you feel from a mother point of view?
Well, speechless. I'm definitely crying. I say to her every day how proud of you I am, not only in the work that you're doing, but just proud of you as a human being. And you're an empath. You always have been caring and thinking of others, but she's brilliant. She's unbelievable. Truly, truly, truly. Her writing, the fact that she wrote this 365-day book and, kind of hold herself up and didn't realize, I said, you're taking on a 365-day book, sweetheart. No, she's just brilliant. And I think the thing about Michelle, you said it really well, Michelle. The thing about you is there is nothing that you would allow to stand in the way of helping another person if it mattered so deeply to you. And it kind of, you hear this, whatever breaks your heart, go do that. If something breaks your heart, it doesn't matter. The whole world might say, oh my gosh, are you crazy, and never buy your book again, or never talk to you again or never whatever, it would not matter to you. I've really witnessed that because we lived together, Tyler, for the past 15 months because her place flooded. And I've watched it up close and personal. You are very committed to whatever truly moves your heart to help, and in whatever way you can, you do it, no matter the consequence to yourself.
I'm going to tell a story, but it relates to both of you. So when people, there's a lot going on in the world right now, a lot of devastation. We all know this. And I relate so much to what you share on Instagram, Tyler, because you aren't afraid to talk about it. If something happens, you're there, you show up and say, this just happened, and like, let's talk about it. And sometimes you get people who are going to want to fight you about it, and you still show up. And I think that also encourages people to have the bravery to show up in their platform to say the same thing, because sometimes it is scary. And despite, having the intention for all of us for our work to just help people, there are always going to be people in the background that say, well, what about book sales? What about the numbers? What about this, and this? So it's not always easy. And my mom and I we are living together right now. My place flooded, and that's been a journey in and of itself. But we've been living together, so a lot of together time. And it is in my nature, if something is happening and I care about it, I want to post about it, or, be an advocate or an ally or someone that will speak up. And again, the internet's wild. I'll get some messages that are difficult, and my mom and I will talk about it. And, Mom, we were having a conversation recently about some things that I had shared online, and you were saying, I'm proud of you. And like that, I learned about that from you, that was who you raised me to be. And then, of course, having people like you, Tyler, that can be a model, and you, Mom, too, of what it means to show up for other people, even if it's hard, even if there are people that are going to, say the things like, I'm going to unfollow you, I'm not going to buy your books, you're not who I thought you were, any of those things. And so it's because of both of people like you that I feel like I can show up in such a way. And it still be scary, but I think having that intention of helping people and knowing like what's right for you and what's in your truth, you do it, and you're intentional and thoughtful, and whatever happens, I guess.
Yeah, let me talk about kind of how that works on social media and in front of people really quickly. And I'm saying this for your listeners and for your viewers, in that you may not think, or I can only speak for myself, but I'm the kind of guy, and this has happened back when I used to play music with my band Broken Frame back in the day. We'd play a show, there would be a whole room full of people singing along to the songs that I wrote with my bandmates in a room together, and it would be dope. We'd walk off stage feeling like rock stars, and one person would come up and say to me, dude, great show, but there was that one song where you were off vocally just a little bit, right? And that one little thing that they would say would be the only thing I would hear, right? So social media can work like this sometimes. I know that we are lucky to have thousands of people like stuff that we put on the internet, or have hundreds of comments from things that people will say. But you better believe, if it's somebody who I know is not a bot, but like a real actual person who comes along and says, this thing that you said to me either hurt me, made me feel a certain way, or made me want to take myself elsewhere, I would like to say that I'm one of those people that are like, unfollow me, boom, go, see ya, peace. But I am not. I'm not. Like, I can look on my, how we can see, here's a little secret to some people. We can see metrics, right? And so we can see how many followers are coming, but we can also see the people that leave. And I tend to look at the people that leave more than I look at the people that added.
Yep.
I think, one, it's a little bit about being an empath, but also it's not that I want to please everybody. That's not it. But I do want to, I was about to say this is good because I've never said this before, but it's true. It's not that I want to please everybody. I just want to be understood.
Yeah.
Yep.
You
How
know what
many
I
times have
mean?
I, yeah.
Like, I don't want to please everybody. I'm not going to please everybody, but I want to be understood so that when I'm gone off of this earth, when I leave, if tomorrow I didn't wake up and the internet had to suddenly, I think this is so horrible because it tells you how much time we spend on the internet. But anytime someone passes away,
Yeah.
for example, um, there was a Food Network star who passed away
And
yesterday, right? And all of her friends are like, we didn't know this was coming, or whatever. And sadly, because of how the internet works, we're going to talk about that for probably about a day and a half, 2 days before something else comes along. We move on to somewhere else. But for the people that she was close to, her no longer being here is going to stick with them for a very, very long time, and it's going to mean something strongly. But for a second, let's talk about that internet window, right? Though the internet is not real life, what we put out there is real to our hearts. And I hope to, that one day when I'm no longer here, if people take a second and go, what is it that I would say about Tyler, is that they would say, he made me feel loved. And even though I did not know him, I still felt a love from him. And I don't know if I can understand what that love is. No, maybe it wasn't romantic love. Maybe it wasn't best friend love. But when he expressed his words on the internet, or when I watched a video of him, or when I met him in public, or whatever, I felt like he may have loved me even though he didn't know me. And that would make me feel understood, because there is something about that. And all religions have some sort of kind of grace or love that passes all understanding. Um, I want to have that. I want to have that kind of love for people that I don't know, where people go, I only met that guy for like 2 seconds, but I feel like he cares about me so deeply that he cares about the kids of mine he doesn't know, you know? And I know that can be almost feel like an impossible quest, but I know what it's like to feel that from other people. I know what it was like the first time I ever met John Lewis, and I met him just for a minute, and the way he led his life felt like a love letter to the world, a love letter that I was a part of. And God, if we can just have a little dose of that in the world, how much better would this world be?
Well, I'm going to quote something from the, I think it's from the Gita, maybe, or one of the Eastern traditions. And Tyler, you are that. That's the title. I think it's maybe one of the Upanishads or one of the. I'm not exactly sure where it comes from in that Eastern tradition, but the title of the passage is "You are that," and you are that. You didn't even know me from Adam. I mean, you knew me on the internet. I mean, you knew me on social media, but you are that. And I watched you in the restaurant when we ate. I mean, I really. And I think that is the true essence of being human, and that idea of wanting to be a helper, wanting to drop everything and do what you can do, is that you are pure love from the core, from the inside out. You live your life, and this, I talk about this so much in practice, but you already naturally live your life from the inside out. You don't really live your life from the outside in. You live your life from the inside out. So whoever you are with and whatever you're doing, it is pure love. You are that. That's going to be, you are that. No, you are that. And I think there is the, I'm going to get that to you. I'll get that to you,
Do it.
because it's really a
Love it.
beautiful thing, because you are that pure love. So
And I do feel like we all have parallel lives, because I love
yes,
that you brought up John Lewis.
yes,
We had the opportunity and the privilege to meet him as well for just a short period of time. And it is special to have those kinds of people that leave those ripples, even when they've gone, but that their presence is so powerful that you can feel it like that.
So let me tell you a funny story, my John Lewis story, really quickly. And it
I
really
bet
has
we have John Lewis stories.
it has more to do with my mother, okay? My mom, who people absolutely love, which I'm going to give a little bit of breaking news right here. I am currently in the process. I'm doing a lot of things, but one of those things is um, writing a book with my mom. And so working on writing a book
Stop.
with my mother. Yeah. So listen, the reaction that you've given is hear me. Anytime I bring this up, I'm like, my mom is about to outsell me by a gazillion books. Is what's going to happen right
I love
now.
it.
Because people are
Hey,
obsessed with her based on how I talk about her through the books, but my mom not realizing what a big deal she is in the world, this is exactly what happened. True story. I was visiting Las Vegas and I was there for just a couple days, and she goes, son, I have to go to this thing to see to see an old friend of mine. This He's in town doing some quick speaking thing, and I'm like, she's like, do you want to go? And I'm like, I don't really know. I was like, who is it you're gonna go see? And she's like, this is my friend John. And I was like, I was like, where do you know him from? And she goes, she goes, now let me be clear. She's very aware of who John Lewis is, but what she said was, you know, we connect over Alabama, and so usually every time I see him, we want to talk these old stories about Alabama and this, that, whatever. You'd be bored, and I'm like, wait, who are you gonna go see? And she was like, his name's John Lewis.
my friend John from Alabama.
I was like, Mom, wait, the John Lewis, like the John Lewis. And she's like, yeah, yeah. And I'm like, hell to the yes, I want to go. And I think about how casually my mom was just going to go see, and I would have never have met him because she was just going to this thing that he was at. But anyways, I ended up going. It's one of my favorite pictures in the whole world. I talk about it briefly, and this changes everything. And you're right. He is a symbol of struggle that equates out into love. And how crazy is it to think that every struggle that we have gone through, right? Be it through divorces, be it through loss of people that we love, be it through heartache, heartbreak over. I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday. You break up with somebody, and in that breakup window, the people around you can't really understand, right? Of how hard it really, really is, on how you can't just casually listen to a Boys to Men song during that window
Oh
because it's
no.
shatter you, right? While
Oh
everybody else
no.
is just like, so we've come. To you,
A
you're like,
breakup had me crying to Coldplay in a CVS.
right. Do you know what I'm
Not
saying?
okay.
Right. What is so crazy is that all of that breakup, Michelle, the heartache of losing someone, being black in America, those struggles somehow end up turning into the keys of love that we hand over to people that end up opening all of these doors to a world that we could have never expected. That's insane.
Wow. I just want to say, you two talk about parallel lives. Well, first of all, John Lewis, we go on tour of talking about that. That he is my one
She's
person
giving
asked
you
me.
lots of tours that she wants to go
Well,
on with
one
you.
person asked me, who in the world would you want to meet? I've had the privilege of meeting a lot of amazing humans. And years ago, I don't know how many years ago, 5, 6 years before COVID, I said, John Lewis, he's my greatest human. And I said, I would give anything to meet John Lewis. And it ended up happening. And you're right. He's like, it was the event of my life. It was the time of my life. 100% for sure. But I want to say, the two of you with music, we have to have a whole episode on you guys, you
I know I have
performing,
lots of music
Tyler.
questions for you off
Yes, the
camera.
two of you on music, all your albums and all the things. I am in such joy knowing that everything that you've talked about with music so far is music to her ears.
Well, let me tell you, if you read, getting back to my book, um, I spoke at an event in Northern California a couple days ago, and they had given my book, they had given This Changes Everything to everybody in the audience. They had bought so many copies. And during the Q&A, a girl was in the back flipping through the book, and she got to one of the chapters, I think it's chapter 6, where I use a Taylor Swift song as the subject title to to the entrance to every part of the chapter I'm going to talk about. But and so she asked me in Q&A, she was like, what's up with you and Taylor Swift? And I was like, let me tell you, I was like, first of all, I just got my black card back, so stop with letting the world know how much I love Taylor Swift. But I really, really do love her. But it's not just that I love Taylor. I just love pop culture. I love musicals. And I can't believe people let me write books, because then I do things like put titles of almost all music things into my books and hope that people get them. So my editor will tell me, my editor Beth will be like, I don't know what this is. Like, for example, a perfectly good example is
I would be that person.
At the beginning of the last chapter of my book, of This Changes Everything, the book starts with me documenting times. Like, literally, like, I'm like, it's 11:53, blah, blah, blah. I leave that alone, but I come back to it at the very end of the chapter, at the end of the book. And in the last chapter, it starts off with December 24th, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay? And that is a line from the musical Rent. It's the very first line. December 24th, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I sent this to my editor, and she was like, I don't understand why you would put this time period, especially when that's not what the time is. And I'm like,
Yeah.
If you know, you know.
if you know, you know.
No.
And like, my books are one big if you know, you know.
Yeah, they
you know?
sure are.
I often will say something like quoting a song, and she'll say like, what is that? I'm like, it's from this song. How do you not know that?
Yeah. I'm not the greatest at that, but that December Rent was one of my favorite all time. I got that one loud and clear.
I feel like I have a broad enough thing that I'll hit somebody at some
Yes.
point. Like, you're
Yes.
going to get something. But I also know that some of my stuff is so very specific that, you know,
Yeah.
I think one of the
Secret language.
One of the chapters in my book is called Did You Fall from a Shooting Star,
Yes.
One Without a Permanent Scar, right?
Yes.
Which is one of my favorite Train songs. But when I think I have a permanent scar, I think song lyrics. You know what I mean? So that's how I write.
It is so powerful when you were talking about your time in music and that you could write a lyric, which I write, and I've written a book, but to me, thinking about writing music seems like I am in awe of people who are songwriters, because it just seems like a whole nother level of magic. But then being able to write something that so many people can then resonate with that experience, like you were saying, this is an experience and a lot of people don't know how to put words to it, but in songs you can say it in like one sentence and it's catchy and it's witty, and then you think about it all the time, and then you go see them perform it and then they sing it back to you. Like, that's got to be just like the coolest thing ever.
It is, but I'll tell you this, Michelle. I prefer just, what is today? Today's Wednesday for us. But Monday, I was in a meeting and somebody said, if someone gave you $100 million, we were asking a panel, someone gave you $100 million, what would you do with it? And I felt like such a dork, because my answer was so everybody was like, I'd buy some land, or I'd buy a Bugatti, or whatever, which I'm like, I would do those things too. But in that moment, I was like, let me tell you what I would do. I would open a school and try to hire as many like teachers that were focused on new ways of teaching young students to read and to look at the world through different lens, or, you know, something stupid like that. But the reason why I brought that up all had to do with music. It had to do with the fact that I think about how music is so universal and goes all over the world. I wish reading was that same way, but it's not.
It's not.
You know, you think about, even with Black folks, how white folks here in the United States tried everything to keep us from reading, to where it still ripples today. It still ripples in that. And so I say that to say, even though I love songs writing, it's the long form storytelling that I love more than anything, but it's not as universal. And everybody isn't gonna pick up that book. That's the reason why I try to make my audiobooks so good, right?
Yeah.
Like, because I think maybe they'll listen to that. I wish people picked up books the way we pick up music, but we're just not structured that way to do that. And so much is it because of the dispersity with education, you know?
Yeah, that's genius. We'll have to open a school together too.
Add it to the list.
Add it to the list.
Right.
And lastly, I wanted to say, I love that in just going back to the John Lewis thing, I think you said, meeting him and all of us meeting him, those ripples, and going back to what we talked about at the start of the conversation, Tyler, you mentioned the concept of hope. And I think what was so powerful about John Lewis is despite everything that he lived a long life and he saw so many things and so much injustice and, had goals and maybe, I'm not to say how he felt at the end of his life, but he had lots of things he wanted to see and he had roadblocks and all of those things, but still seemed to maintain a level of hope that there was something good to come. Can you talk about what hope means for you and what you're hopeful for your life and what you're hopeful for to come in your work, and then what you're sharing in that regard?
So one of the things I hate about my iPhone, but also love, is that it does this thing now where it'll pop up old pictures, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right? It'll just randomly, you scroll to the left and there'll be some random picture and it'll be like, do you want to go back and see this either in a video or and anytime that it has a picture of my nieces Gigi and Bella or Zoe and Declan when they were, or Allie, or when they were kids, like really, like when they were between the age of 2 and 3 and 4, I always go back and look at those pictures. I always go back and look at them because I remember when I would hold them in my arms, or I would walk into their house and they would run up to me in with their arms extended and say, Uncle Tai Tai, or Zoe would be like, do you want to play a game with me, Uncle Tai Tai, or whatever. I remember during those time periods thinking, I want to build a world for you. I want to build a world for you that you can love whoever you want to love, that you can lead from the front and not just like a weird false lead, but you can really lead. I want you to live in a world where your words matter. I want you to live in a world where you have the ability to grasp at everything that you have, that you are able to absolutely learn, understand what racism was and what this United States was built on, but it's no longer something that you have to worry about because it's a thing that we've learned from in the past, but not something that has to be a part of in our future. And when you're looking at a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old, we can be just naive enough to believe that that can be their future. And that naivety, that desire for them to have a better world, is hope. And I never want to let go of that. And as a Black man in America, I don't have the privilege to wake up and not have that. Because if I don't have it, what am I left with? Do I just look at these kids now and go, oh, well, you're screwed? Or do I, with every breath that I have, whether it be in a post, whether it be making somebody laugh, whether it be a long form book or a song or a TV show that I get to be on, to where Zoe, now that she's 13, loves to tell her friends, that's my Uncle Tai Tai up there, whatever, you know what I mean? Every single day I have the opportunity to breathe hope into the world. And so it's my honor to do it. And so answering your question, how do I find it? I do that by looking into the eyes of these young people. And now these young people, because I'm getting older, are getting older and older as well. These young people that once were 2 are now like 14 or 20, bless it, and as long as I continue to make them proud, it gives me the fuel to continue to have hope. I don't even know if I answered your question, but
You did. It's beautiful, Tyler.
And what are you working on, and where can people find you? And tell everyone about your book, all of your magic.
First, I would start by saying this. This changes everything. And my first book, I Take My Coffee Black. If you don't have it, I'm going to say this, and I have a lot of author friends who might be upset. There are some books that just aren't good. Okay? It's just the truth. Some books are medium. Like, you'll start reading a book and you're like, okay,
They can't all be hits.
Right. They can't all be hits, right? I like to stand by the Ed Sheeran way of the world where like God, man, I love and hate this guy because he writes songs that are so good. I want to punch him in his little arm, man. But my point with Ed Sheeran is somewhere in his world, he's like, if I'm going to put something out there, I want it to be good. And he continues to do that. I started that with I Take My Coffee Black, and I picked it up with This Changes Everything. And I have a kid's book out called A Door Made for Me as well. And I want to tell you, I promise you, listeners, that if you pick it up either on audio or you pick up the hardcover, you are going to have a good time. I will get you in the first chapter, and you will want to read through the rest. And even though This Changes Everything is about cancer, it's really more about life and living it in hope. So there's my books. You can start there. But then I'm also an actor as well. And so if you're watching this and or you're listening to it, you've probably seen me and not realized. I've been on TV shows like Outer Banks on Netflix. There's a show called Found on NBC that's not getting a third season, which I absolutely am sad about. I worked on a show called Falcon the Winter Soldier for Marvel with Anthony Mackie. All in roles that I come in and out like, what up, what's going on? And then I'm working on, oh gosh, I haven't told you, either one of you this. There is a series called Scarpetta that's coming out. It's a multi-series. It's based after 26 books, written by Patricia Cornwell, that stars Nicole Kidman, Jamie Lee Curtis, Bobby Cannavale.
Very casual.
Very casual. And I'm working on that show. I've literally filmed a scene with myself, Jamie Lee Curtis, and Nicole Kidman. But that's a whole other conversation for another time period. There's a show on Apple TV called Dark Matter that has season 1 out. I just came back from Chicago filming season 2, so that's exciting.
Man, you've been busy.
We're taking I Take My Coffee Black and turning it into a play, a one-man show that we're just finishing up that I'm writing and will star in, and we're looking for what theater we're going to put it up at. When it happens, I will make sure that you guys get tickets.
Absolutely.
And I'm writing a new kids book and a book with my mom. So there you go. Not much.
And social media.
Social media. Almost with everything you can put in the Tyler Merritt Project and you'll find me. So Instagram, Facebook, Blue Sky, the other thing with the X or the tweets. I'm still over there for some reason. Barely, but still there. YouTube, all of those places, just put in the Tyler Merritt Project. I'm mostly active on Instagram and Facebook. You know what? One of the big, I won't say regrets, but you can understand this. I never got into TikTok, basically because I just didn't want another thing to do, right? And of course, that's where everybody's at. But, you can find me over on the old school stuff.
Oh, this has been a journey. I mean, it's been an amazing journey today, Tyler.
Let me just say something really quick before we go. Thank you to you two. And I'm going to say it on behalf of everybody that's watching or listening and why they tune in. I don't know if you talk about this enough, Barb. Maybe I need to pay a little bit more attention on whether you do. But I don't know if you ever thought to yourself that you were going to start writing some things on some signs and they were going to end up absolutely rebuilding our souls, right? And I would go farther to say you're not just a mother to so many of us on social media, but being able to watch the relationship that you have with Michelle, watching how the two of you work together, It's something that we all want to strive for. I asked about the proud part because I think that there are probably listeners that need to be able to hear what it's like to be told that they're proud of their child, and to hear the respect that comes from their child. What you guys do is beautiful, and because we're all on the internet, we get to hear a lot of people either DM or message us and say things that are nice. They're like, oh my gosh, I love this, or this is so sweet, or you're so great. I don't want you to take this lightly, what I'm saying to you two. Please don't take it and just brush it off your shoulders. But hear me. You all are changing the world. If you've ever woke up and said, how do you change the world? You are doing it. And Barb, you found a way to do it through a sign and through the love of your daughter, and the belief that you have in your mom, Michelle, and the belief that she has in you is what we all want to build the world on. So thank you for that. What you guys are doing is crazy, crazy, crazy special. And sometimes, even though the numbers may not always hit, you know what I mean? You know what I mean by that, where I'm saying you might not feel successful because your expectations were higher than, just know that where you are today is doing exactly what the world needs.
Thank you, my dear friend. I love you so much. The
You're
love
welcome.
that we
And
have for you is, I love you, love you, love you.
And we feel the same about you.
Yeah. Could not,
Sorry I made your podcast like
could
3
not
hours.
be better.
No, this is like such a special episode. I can't wait to go back and listen to it again.
Yeah, and I can't wait to air it. I can't wait to
Yes.
see it. I can't wait to see. Yeah, you are changing people's lives, no doubt about it. And I'm so excited that you're writing a book with your mom. I think that is the coolest thing ever. You saw my eyes get like this.
Well, not to, again, double down on the parallel lives, but we've been working on one together too. So
So the four of us are going on the road.
Obvious.
The four of us are going on the road. Could you imagine?
Wow.
I
Okay.
I think one of my little talents, and Michelle said this to me often, I'm very, I can kind of see things and want things to happen. And so when I start feeling things about certain people or certain things or certain messages and stuff, I'm like, Michelle, we need to do this. Michelle, we need to do that. This is definitely one of them.
yes.
We're doing, yeah, we're going to, more to come from Tyler, Michelle, and Barb.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much again for this beautiful conversation. We're so grateful. And thank you everyone for listening.
Thank you so much for joining us today. If you're loving our episodes, make sure you're subscribed to Life Happens Podcast on YouTube. And if you're listening, make sure you're liked and subscribed on Apple, Spotify, and Google. If you haven't yet, give us a rating and a 5-star review. It's so helpful to us and to the show. If you haven't yet, you can subscribe to our Substacks via the links in our show notes. And it would mean so much to me if you pre-ordered my very first book, Dear Friend, out this November. You can check out more at thedearfriendbook.com.